lot of breaking stories today on investigating the investigators. Fired Deputy FBI Director Andrew Mccabe is trying to arrange a deal to say what he knows about the fired FBI Director Jim Comey. And it turns out that demoted FBI agent Peter Strzok, whose anti-Trump bias got him thrown off the Mueller team, was far more instrumental in starting up the Russia probe than we realized. For details, we turn to Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch president. And as if that wasn't enough, Tom, we had breaking news today, some information about the Inspector General's report suggesting that Comey was really more insubordinate than anybody realized.
Yeah, that's interesting. Everyone's expecting the FBI and the DOJ to be criticized by the IG in terms of helping protect Hillary Clinton. No. The IG initially was asked to look at whether Comey did something wrong in a way that violated Hillary Clinton's rights. And this insubordination relates to coming out and talking about what she did and the finding of the Wiener laptop emails just shortly before the election. In many ways, it buys into the big lie that Comey had it in for Hillary Clinton and swayed the election through his conduct. And
right.
I don't buy it, and it's disappointing to see the IG report focused on this as opposed to the cover-up.
I agree with you, yeah.
Now, there's a little bit there of the cover-up. I'm sure there'll be good and bad from the IG.
We don't know what's in there. This apparently
There's
was
going to be
leaked.
a lot there for both sides in the end, David.
Right. All right. Well, let's talk about something we do know a little more about, which is Andy Mccabe, the former deputy director of the FBI. He is negotiating, it appears, with Senator Grassley, who's one of the best informed senators about investigating investigators, as to whether he deserves some kind of immunity for testifying about what he knows about Comey and disputes they may have had. My suspicion is you would not be in favor of giving him immunity.
Well, if you don't want a prosecution, you give him immunity. In my view, immunity is going to make it very difficult for any prosecution of him because his testimony, I would presume his defense attorneys would use in any court action afterwards. His defense attorneys would say, look, he testified under immunity and it's being used against him in the courts now, and it's infecting the jury and all sorts of other reasons to protect him from ever being prosecuted. So if you're Senator Grassley, I'm sure you're sorely tempted to bring him in under immunity. But in the interest of justice, and if you don't want to interfere with the prosecution, I would wait a little bit to see what the Attorney General and the
wait for
U.S.
what
Attorney
Judicial
in
Watch
D.C.
turns
wants.
up as well. Quickly, I got to get to this Trump tweet last night because it's very intriguing. He talks about Peter Strzok, and we've been doing some investigation, how instrumental he actually was in starting the Russia investigation. The president says, wow, Strzok page, the incompetent and corrupt FBI lovers have texts referring to a counterintelligence operation in the Trump campaign dating way back to December 2015. What's that all about?
Well, there were text messages suggesting that they were using counterintelligence techniques, lures overseas. For what? It's not clear, but it sure looks like and has all the hallmarks of the effort against the Trump campaign. So, it's funny. We're told it was started in July of 2016. Then it looks like it went back to maybe March of 2016. Now, these latest text messages that had been redacted in large measure, only released, grudgingly by the Justice Department and the FBI, suggests that maybe it started as early as December of 2015. Look, this Spygate is getting worse and worse, and I don't understand the lackadaisical approach that Congress has to hauling in Rosenstein, hauling in Wray, hauling in Comey, hauling in Lynch, hauling in White House officials under Obama to figure out just what went on here, as opposed to kowtowing to Mr. Mueller, who has inherited Spygate and is benefiting from its illicit conduct.
Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. Tom, great to see you, my friend. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, David.
So what does the Inspector General's report mean for James Comey, Loretta Lynch, and Andrew Mccabe? Will they all turn on each other, as it appears they have been, in order to protect their own necks? Let me bring in Arizona Republican Congressman Andy Biggs. Welcome back to the show, Congressman.
Good to be here, Kennedy. Thanks.
No surprise that James Comey was labeled insubordinate in this draft of the IG report. He has said that he values the chain of command, but he really stepped outside of it on more than one occasion. What do you think the consequences for that could be?
Well, the first consequence is, I mean, we all see that he's the narcissist that we always thought he was. But the real consequence is we need to see the IG report, and if there was a criminal conduct associated with that insubordination, which I suspect there may be, then we should get the DOJ, the Attorney General's office needs to be prosecuting the case. That's what should happen here, because I suspect he was misusing his position to let Hillary Clinton off and then manipulate the system on Donald Trump, which we know he did. He's admitted this. So we see he's a congeries of contradiction that should lead to conviction.
Well, it's really interesting because, you know, I know he probably thinks it's a bang-up idea to write a book because he wants to tell the world his special story. And, you know, he has said that he's often fallen in love with his own ideas. A lot of other people haven't. But within that book tour, there have also been a series of contradictions. Could those be legally problematic for him?
Well, he can say whatever he wants in a book tour. I mean, he can go out and do it. There's no law against that. But where it might provide problems for him is where he's testified under oath to Congress and where he's given other affidavits and testimony under oath. If he's contradicted himself somewhere else, then we get to bring him in. The AG's office gets to bring him in. And we get to pin him down on that stuff and see if there is a chance for a criminal prosecution.
Yes, and Andrew McCabe was fired because the Inspector General found that he had lied to investigators potentially about leaks to the Wall Street Journal and some other things. And he said that Comey knew about those leaks, not only knew about them, but authorized them. Comey has denied that. Should Andrew McCabe be given immunity to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee?
I don't think he should get immunity because that's not his only sins. His only sins aren't the ones that he's looking at prosecution for. And besides, he wants use immunity for whatever he may testify at the hearing. I think that you need to let him come forward, take the Fifth Amendment if that's which is what he's threatening to do. But we're never going to get to the bottom of this on Mr. Comey, Loretta Lynch, the other comrades in arms with the Mueller team, the Strzok and Page and this whole cast of characters, if we give him immunity, unless he's got something like just a massive bombshell, then, and we won't know that, then I don't think you give him immunity. You
and look at the people that were given immunity during the Hillary Clinton server investigation. Cheryl Mills, Brian Pagliano, there were so many, and we just assumed that they had valuable information. It turned out that that was pretty fruitless. So I agree with you. I think they should absolutely withhold there. And if he's done something bad, there has to be accountability. What does accountability look like for these three people?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we profess one of the great things that makes America stand out in the world ostensibly is that we hold everybody accountable. Everybody has to obey the same laws. And if you start granting immunity here to somebody who may have known about corruption, but not just ordinary corruption, which is bad enough, but corruption for political purposes. Think about that. You undermine the very foundation of our constitutional republic. It's hard for me to say, let's give this somebody who's done that immunity.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And you bring up a good point about Strzok and Page. You know, they were, it appears, just trying to cover their heinies in case Hillary was their boss and, you know, telling each other to go easy on her. That's just plain wrong, and that's a different type of politicization that is also equally problematic. Congressman, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Very good.